This week I learned, or rather I remembered, why my generation loves nostalgia. You know why? Because it works. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update and a very, very happy Christmas Eve to you if you celebrate. And if you don't, well, hey, it's Christmas Eve here in the States, so we're going to talk about that just a little bit. So, yeah, time for family, a time for fun, family, friends, all that kind of stuff, and a little extra time on the DL to read. So, hey, I'm always in favor of this, guy. So, lots of things going on the channel this week, regardless of the holiday. I am now off until 2022. So lots of cool, fun things get to happen the next couple of weeks. And by that, I mean absolutely nothing. It's going to be wonderful and glorious, guys. I cannot wait. So let's begin like usual, guys, with what am I reading? I did finish Reaper's Gale yesterday. I actually, during the holidays, you might be making some poor eating decisions, some poor drinking decisions, things like that. And when you train your body to kind of wash all those things out and then you invite them back in, it interrupts your sleeping patterns. And I was up pretty much all night that night because I had too much sugar. And when you cut sugar out of your diet and then you have sugar, the sugar's like, hey, what are you doing? Pretty much all night, right? So that's what I did. I finished this. Not going to lie to you guys, least favorite Malazan book. And I don't even need time to think about this. With House of Chains, what I didn't like was a lot of the sitting around and stuff like that. With this, it was a lot of that, but with characters I didn't even know and didn't even care for. They never grew on me. I just kept waiting to get back to Ikara and get back to Karsa, get back to those characters that I wanted to see what was going on with them. Those characters from Midnight Tides, those characters from Bone Hunters. And it just felt like there was this extra storyline or two or three that was thrown in that, look, I know right now it's easy to say they didn't really matter much. I'm sure over the next 3 books, Mr. Erickson will show me why they matter. But this book, to be 1,264 pages, I don't get it. I don't get it at all. So, an emphatic do not like with this book. Again, there was that big main event I was waiting for in this. Worse than it was when we finally got to see Mayweather versus Pacquiao. That's kind of how I felt about it. I was like, it kind of wasn't what I expected on paper, right? So, it's going to happen. Some guys, I'm too close to the end to give up or anything like that. I'm not saying that, but this was not what I was wanting. And if I had waited an extra day to do my most disappointing books of the year, that one might actually have been on there. So, hey, we'll talk about that another time. So, I got a week left in the year, and I've got one book left on my TBR. This, of course, is Bloodchild, book number 3 in the Godblind trilogy by Anna Stevens, and I've already started that one. And again, anytime you read anything after you read a Malazan book, it is a lot easier to read it. So, I think I'd read like the first 80 pages in one sit-down. So we'll see what happens with this if Miss Stevens can stick the landing, because I really did enjoy the first 2 books. The second book was rather amazing because the whole thing was one event, and I won't tell you what that event is because someone will get upset and say I ruined it for them. But it was actually kind of incredible the way that she did it. So I'm really anxious to see if she can stick the landing here. From everything that I've heard from people who finished the trilogy, she does. So very, very interested to find out what happens there. And that's pretty much all I got until New Year, guys. So that leads me to what am I going to read? Well, obviously, I'm going to finish Bloodchild during this. And since we don't start Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn until January the 1st, because that is part of a read-along, even though, I know everybody will audio it and read past me. But hey, I'm not going to start early. So I figure I'll just enjoy the holiday, maybe play some video games, hang out with the kids, maybe, watch some movies. And maybe actually buckle down and finish that Berserk arc that I keep talking about finishing. I know. I won't have any excuses then. So, like I said, about 8 days left in the year to finish Bloodchild. I don't think it's going to be a problem, really. Around Christmas time, there is a lot of downtime around this house. So, kids are going to be playing with all their new stuff. They're going to need us to entertain them, right? So, lots of time on our hands. But, we'll see what happens. Let's talk about this week on the channel, guys. There was some new content on the channel that I think went over quite well. As the Wheel Turns is always going to get, while a mixed reaction, it's always going to get attention. I've gotten to the point, guys, where I'm not even going to read the comments in those anymore. They're just way too ugly. And I try not to respond negatively. It's just when you have so many people telling you that you are lying. I don't think there's anything worse you can say to a content creator than saying they're being less than genuine. And if me and Madison weren't liking that show, guys, we would tell you that we were not liking the show. All right. I know I'm getting a lot of first-time viewers on the channel, and they have this. They really do believe that I'm getting paid by Amazon to give good reviews, and that's hilarious. I've sold about probably 500 Kindles for Amazon. They wouldn't even give me a demo unit to review, So, no, Amazon has no interest in what just a guy with Wi-Fi has to say about Wheel of Time. So that's a cute story, and you know what? If they want to do that, please send the rep my way, because I'll tell you how to spell my name on those checks. But, the last time I checked, Amazon was not too interested in what I'm saying. And so it's a silly comment, but it happens a lot. But me and Madison are going to continue to talk about the show, and we've got an actual surprise that I'll talk about in next week's plans. But outside of that, this week on the channel, speaking of Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, I did do my why I decided to read Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn by Tad Williams. And this was just me telling the story of how basically my brother has been just like an emotional terrorist about this book for 20 years now to get me to read it. So it's finally happening, but it's also just one that I feel like I need to read some Tad Williams. This is a guy that has been influential to this genre as a whole, and it influenced maybe one of my favorite fantasy series ever in A Song of Ice and Fire. So I've got to see kind of where that came from. I need some traditional fantasy in my life, guys. I'm really just, after Godblind and Malazan at the same time, I'm in a dark place reading-wise. So I need a little sunshine. And I don't know, I'm sure that there's bad stuff that happens in that book too, but traditional fantasy does it in a different way. You're not quite crawling around in the muck so much. So I'm anxious to finally get to that. And it was surprisingly, I don't want to say I was surprised really about the reaction, because I know it's a popular series. It just seemed like no one really talked about it for a long time. Anytime I brought it up, people were like, oh, it's the first I've heard of it. But there are a lot of people coming out now that are, excited to, they've either had it for a long time and they want to read along, or it's people that are so excited about it, they want to do a reread while we do the read along. So that's great. I always welcome those people. Jump on the Discord, guys, if you want to join us on that read along. We start on the 1st of January, not that far away now. Did my next interview with the author. That's what I'm calling that series now. Interview with the author, inspired by the late, great Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire. I thought it was a clever name. I try to do what I can on here. But we talked to Jay Kristoff, the author of Empire of the Vampire and Nevernight, and many, many other series out there. And guys, this was probably the most fun I've had talking to an author on this channel. It was just, guy is just such an awesome dude. He's like the kind of guy that you could just go to the store, buy like a 24 pack of beers and sit around for a couple days and just get hammered and talk about music and movies and comic books and all that kind of stuff. And of course, regular books. And we talked about all that stuff, and just an awesome, easy, awesome guy to talk to. It was really, really cool. He even took the Dave Grohl jokes really to heart. I mean, he laughed about all of them. He says it happens to him all the time. So just an awesome dude. And just some of the stuff we talked about in the conversation I would have never expected to talk about, like Vampire Diaries. It's amazing some of the stuff that we really got into in that conversation, but 2 hours just kind of flew by. And I mean, I'm just grateful that he wanted to talk to me for that long. And I felt like we could have talked probably 4 or 5 hours, no problem. He's just that easy to talk to. And like I said, we could have talked for much, much longer. But those author interviews don't usually go that long. So I was surprised. I know not everybody's got that much time to listen, but if you got a chance, I always tell people, hey, treat it like a podcast. Put in some earbuds. You don't need to see our faces to hear what we're talking about. At least, I don't think so. But hey, I appreciate anybody who watched those, but they're just fun conversations. And you guys seem to like to talk about nothing. So it was kind of like that, but more with an emphasis on his book series and stuff towards the end. But good times, and I'm very thankful that he decided to come on the channel, because he's just an awesome guy. We've said we might talk again after I read Nevernight, so we shall see. And then I close down the week with my 10 most disappointing books of 2021. And I think what is interesting about that video is I prefaced it by saying, none of these are bad books. They're just books that didn't hit the mark with me. I will never be that guy. A lot of people in the comments are saying, like, I don't know why you're pulling your punches. Why aren't you just being negative on these? I'm not a negative person. I don't know if you've watched the channel before. I don't like to be insulting of authors because I can't do better. What am I going to sit here and tell them what they need to do better? No, I would never do that. With me, it's never that I think that the author is bad or things like that. It's more of, hey, that story just didn't click with me. I think every single author that I mentioned in that video are talented authors. Just some of those stories missed the mark for me. And if you feel like that's kind of like hedging a little bit, I mean, maybe it is what it is. There's books that I know that several of those are unpopular opinions, especially the Blood Meridian one. And hey, it's just my opinion. That's why I said I'm never going to bullshit you guys. That's why I think it's hilarious when someone thinks that I am lying about my opinions on the Wheel of Time adaptation. But anyway, so those videos always interest a lot of people. They like to hear what you don't like, apparently more than you do like. So I'll try to get through the comments of that and actually kind of respond to some of those here in the next couple of days. Talk about a little bit of next week plans, guys, because there are some things going on despite it being the week of Christmas and New Year's here in the States. Well, speaking of Christmas, I might have a Christmas Day surprise tomorrow. Might. Why might? It just depends if I'm able to get away to record it. I have an idea for something I want to do, so I don't want to tell you what it is, because if I don't get it done tomorrow, I'm not going to do it, because it's time sensitive. It's something that needs to be done on Christmas Day, I think. So it depends if I find some time this evening, maybe to record that video, and then we'll kind of go from there. But I will be doing a channel announcement. This is going to be talking about changes on the channel in 2022. Nothing to, raise the red flags and start sounding the alarm or anything like that, or getting in the duck and cover positions. Nothing serious. I know at this time last year I talked about, hey, I'm going back to work. I don't know how much I'm going to be doing this channel anymore, and I actually just stayed the same rate that I was before. But there are going to be some changes to a couple of series that I do on the channel and things like that, so I want to talk about those and explain them. I know that some people are going to be disappointed with some of the things I'm going to say. That's why I want to explain them in a video. So that'll just be a short one. That won't be a very long video. Just kind of talking about some of the stuff I'm going to do a little differently in 2022. But as far as the channel itself, not a lot's going to change. It's just more particularly on some series and things like that. We'll be doing our As the Wheel Turns for the season finale of Season 1. Hard to believe it's already here, because it seems like ever since I started this channel, it was like Wheel of Time was like this thing that's getting adapted, and we don't know when we'll ever see it. Now the first season's almost done. So we're obviously going to talk about this final episode, which I'm sure is going to be controversial, because it seems like every episode gets more and more controversial, no matter how much it's liked or disliked. There's always going to be something that people seem to be banging heads about. So we will talk about that in the best way that we can, and of course 100% honest. I do have an announcement on that. It's not going to be next week. It's going to be probably sometime in January when everybody's able to get back together. But we are going to be doing a Season 1 wrap-up roundtable show for Wheel of Time. And I have invited on the two gentlemen from the YouTube channel Heroes of the Horn. I don't know if you guys have found their channel yet, but very good channel. I feel like they're obviously just based on Wheel of Time and mostly on the TV adaptation. They do a lot of videos on just the adaptation, but I feel like they're very level-headed. They don't love everything. They don't hate everything. I feel like they're kind of somewhat like us. They're finding the positive out of what a lot of people are finding the negative in, but they're definitely not apologists. I think that they're probably a little more sharp-edged on it than Madison and I are. But I watch their videos, and I have a hard time disagreeing with anything they say. So I also they're a really cool channel, and I kind of wanted to help them kind of maybe find a bigger audience. And they seem like they'd be really awesome guys to talk to. So I asked Matthew over there if him and his partner wanted to come on. They said yes. So there's some vacation time and things like that. And when they get back, we'll get some time to do that in early January. Give some time to marinate a little bit, I think. And I'll be doing my Talk About Nothing for December. Like I said, guys, I can only kind of try to get back to doing one of these per month. Talk About Nothing this month is going to be with the lovely and wonderful Sarah Reeds. Sarah is just a delight. Every time we've talked, we find ourselves going off topic and talking about all kinds of things instead of just like Stephen King, which I had her on my channel talk Stephen King. She had me on her channel talk about Stephen King, and it was like after we finished, we talked for like an hour each time about everything except Stephen King. So I said, let's just do one of these Talk About Nothings and see where the conversation takes us. So I think that'll be a great time, because lots of good stories. Basically, she's got like the most awesome father ever, who read Stephen King with her when she was younger. So I think that's dad goals right there. But I can't wait to talk to her and just, no script, no plans, just see where the conversation takes us. I think it should be a lot of fun. So we'll look for that sometime next week. And then, of course, my end of the year content, guys, the big one, my top 10 books of the year. And you know what? I have picked out the 10. I have no idea what order I'm putting them in yet, though. So that might be like literally right before I press record when I decide what I'm going to have as my number one book of the year. So it's, here we are a couple of days away from me recording it, guys, and I still haven't made that decision yet. So it could be lots of surprises coming. And that pretty much wraps up all of the book content this week. There is some TV and movie talk stuff I want to talk about. Obviously, got to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home. Went and took it, my oldest, to see it. Now here's the thing, guys. I know I've been really big about saying I'm pretty much done with the MCU, and I am, for the most part. After Endgame, I'm like, it's just not for me anymore. I had no interest in Eternals, Black Widow, Shang-Chi. None of that really interested me. But look, Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman, I'm always going to go see new movies by those characters. I'm just going to. I don't care. Even though I know that I'll probably end up grumbling all the way home about how it's not like the comic books I read, that's always going to happen. I've disliked more Batman and Superman and of course, Spider-Man movies than I've liked. But the ones I have liked, I really haven't. I will always love the character. I haven't been wowed about this interpretation in the MCU. I think that Tom Holland's a good pick for Peter Parker. I really do. I think his movies have been... I'm not interested in Iron Spider, like at all. That's not a character that I'm interested in. It seemed like... a mini-me version of Iron Man. It's not what I wanted with my Spider-Man character. So they fixed it. I will say, with no spoilers, I'm not going to spoil anything, guys. In fact, if you can make it to see this movie without being spoiled, you're going to have a blast, because I wasn't spoiled on anything outside of knowing what you saw in the trailer, which is not a spoiler, is that Dr. Octopus from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies is in there, which I was like, okay, that can mean, one thing or it could mean another. I mean, they do have J.K. Simmons returning as J. Jonah Jameson, so it was like, okay, maybe they just realized, hey, they're never going to find any actor to play those roles better. But I'll just say that movie has lots of surprises in it. And for me, guys, it finally felt like a Spider-Man movie. This felt like the Spider-Man that I know and loved. So, of course, this is easily the best MCU Spider-Man movie yet. Had so many surprises, so many nostalgia moments that I did not know that I needed, and they are hit so well, guys. I mean, yeah, there's a couple times where it's like, that's a little bit too fan servicey, but you know what? I was like, it was good, guys. It was in that kind of like in that Mandalorian season 2 finale kind of way, like that, where it was like, I didn't know I needed this until it happened. And it's just a spectacular movie. And look, guys, my kid doesn't ask to go see a lot of movies very often. So when he asks to go see a Spider-Man movie, yeah, I'm going to take him because I know it's important to him. So I'll blame it on him. But of course, like I said, I'm a big Spider-Man guy. I always have been. I've read everything from the 60s to about when Dan Slott took over and completely flushed the franchise down the toilet. So, I felt like this was the first time it wasn't reliant on just the MCU, It felt like it could stand on its own with something. And it's just such a neat idea what they do with the movie. Maybe a little bit overlong if I got any gripes about it. Marvel, these movies don't have to be 2 hours and 40 minutes. That's ridiculous. Come on. But this movie was jam-packed with a lot of things. So I'm going to let it slide, but yeah, easily the best MCU movie since Endgame, but I mean, I've only seen a few of them. I think I saw the last Spider-Man movie, which I thought was garbage, honestly, and I think that might be it. Did I see any ones? I don't think I saw any other ones after that. I haven't seen any of that stuff. So really, I'm just waiting for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That's the next one I plan to see in theaters. But guys, it's Spider-Man. I'm always going to see it. It's like I'll also go see the Batman. If they ever get off their ass and make another Superman movie, I'll go see that because those are my 3 favorite comic book characters of all time. So I'm always going to go see those things. But No Way Home, brilliant. It was really, really brilliant. And again, I love... It's weird how I don't really care for Doctor Strange in his own movies, even though he's only had one. But in these side roles, I think he's just spectacular in these side roles. He's really, really good. So I'm somewhat interested in the next Doctor Strange movie, but that's a different conversation. I'm kind of getting off task. But guys, Spider-Man, as a Spidey fan, long time amazing Spider-Man reader, I was very, very happy with the movie. And again, if you can see it before you get spoiled, please do, because it's going to mean the world to you if you can do that. And I'll close by talking about The Witcher Season 2. Not done with it yet. Got like 3 episodes left. Just, been doing lots of kid stuff past week or so, and found myself just somehow being roped into car shopping, which, again, conversation for another time. What I said about Wheel of Time when we started watching that was saying that I felt like it was already better than Witcher Season 1. But what I'll say is Witcher Season 2 is better than Wheel of Time Season 1. I think the improvements alone make this show just spectacular. Just seeing what Netflix realized now, okay, let's pour some money into this. Everything is improved from Season 1. Yeah, some of the writing, so like, some of the dialogue, I'm like, it didn't really land, but, right away, the wigs look better. Obviously, the first season I was like, why does sometimes it look like Henry Cavill's got a mop on his head? But again, that's a nitpick. The CGI is obviously much better. The sweeping landscape shots are terrific. The action is awesome. Costuming is worlds better. If I do have a gripe, obviously, I have read this far in the book series, and they really kind of get away from the books a little bit. I'm glad that they're not really shying away from some of the game content. In fact, if you watch the credits, they do give thanks to CD Projekt Red. So they now have Sikorsky, they have the book rights, and they have CD Projekt Red rights to make all this stuff into one series. So I think they're trying to please fans of both. Like, for example, Kaer Morhen, the training yard, looks exactly like it does in Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So things like that I think are really great. I was really surprised they didn't really follow Blood of Elves as much as I thought they were going to, but it's just watching it as good TV. I think it's really good TV, guys. And if you can't get past the fact that it's not like the book, like, I'm not gonna lie, guys, the books I don't love. I'm not married to those books. That's why I haven't finished them yet. But I am liking the series enough that I want to finish those books now. And that's what I was hoping to get with this season. And Henry Cavill, man, he's just a treasure. He really is. But Freya Allen is just, that's a series. She is a home run of a casting. She is just awesome. I can't say enough about her. I think she's going to be a star. I really think that she's going to go on after the show and have something big. And I think that the show is going to get its 7 seasons. They have a 7-season plan. I really think that this is going to be a big one for Netflix. I think it already is. I think season 1 was like their 4th most watched show ever. I haven't seen any of the data for this one yet, but I don't imagine that it's any smaller, really. So, yeah, things I would change. But again, they fixed so much from season 1, which I liked. And yeah, the arrow is definitely pointing up on that one. So highest of recommends for Witcher Season 2. I do know that the last episode apparently has some things that have turned some people off. So I might be talking next week about how it didn't work for me. So we'll see, guys. But that was my week, guys. I hope you have a great Christmas. Get some time off, recharge your battery, spend some time with family, drink some hot cocoa, all those kinds of things. Just have a great and wonderful Christmas and just enjoy your time, even if it is just kicking back by the fire and reading a book. Obviously, I would recommend that. So guys, drop in the comments and let me know what you're up to this week, what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you are playing, and I will talk to you there. Merry Christmas.